Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in March. In March it was a roll of reads. I can't remember off the top of my head what all of these books were for though, but you know, check out my TBR video if you want to find out stuff. I don't know. But anyway, first of all, I did do a vlog in March, so I'm not going to talk about these a lot. Watch the video if you want to know. But I read 4 of the World Book Day books, and those were Dreadwood Creepy Creations by Jennifer Killick, Onyeka and the Secret Superhero by Toya Okyugyo, The Amazing Eddie Eckhart, The Friend Mission by Rosie Jones, and The Doomsday Date by Farida Abedike Iyamide. So, like I said, I did vlog these if you want to find out all of my thoughts. I didn't dislike any of them, some of them were better than others. I would probably say my favourite was this one, The Creepy Creations. It's also the longest one, so I don't know why, maybe that was also part of it. There's more story to like get into. This one was like nearly 100 pages I think, and some of them are about half that, so a little bit more story to bite into. But yes, I had a very good time reading these. I think I picked out a nice little selection, and you gotta love World Book Day. After that I read Jack of Hearts and Other Parts by Elsie Rosen, and I did very much enjoy this one. So this is about Jack whose friend has asked him to write sort of sex advice on her website, and then at school somebody keeps sending these weird notes through his locker, and they're just getting more and more weird, clingy, stalkery-ish. So that's pretty much the premise. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the characters. I did pretty much know what the twist was going to be. Pretty much from the get-go I could tell who was sending the notes, but that's fine. I still enjoyed the story. I still enjoyed reading it, so yeah. The head teacher, knobhead. Sometimes it'd be like that in books about LGBT characters, and the teachers are just like dickheads. But there were some good teachers as well. And yes, all in all, good time, very much enjoyed. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about the next book. So after that I read My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones, I believe. I read this via my library app, and I'm glad I didn't buy it because I was not a fan, to be honest. So I follow and watch and very much enjoy Kayla from Books and Lala, and she talks about loads of thrillers, horrors, all that stuff. Most of the books she's read I've never heard of. I don't read, I don't want to read, but I just enjoy her as a person and I enjoy her content. But for some reason this book stood out to me. I was like, oh, maybe I'll enjoy that one. But maybe I'm talking about another book. Maybe I just thought it sounded cool but then never actually listened to the premise. I don't know, because I was not a fan. So first of all, the first chapter I really enjoyed. The first chapter felt like, you know, like CSI, Criminal Minds, NCIS. It felt like that because it was these 2 characters that are going out and it's dark and then the stuff happens to them. You know, like in those sort of TV shows where like stuff happens to the victim and then you get into the show. So the first chapter I actually like felt creeped out when I was reading it. So Stephen Graham Jones is clearly a good writer. He can actually like get those feelings out of me. I read it quite late and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a really good book. No, it's not. It's just like nothing happens for about 80% of the book. 90%, let's say. 80% is pushing it. Nothing happens for about 90% of the book. We're following the main character and it's a stream of consciousness and it's her. Right, so you know in Scream how the whole meta thing works. They'll be talking about how in horrors and slashers this thing happens and then it will happen in the film, but it's done in a really interesting way. Well, she's that character. She's Randy from Scream, but imagine if it was only Randy, none of the actual Scream stuff happened, nothing happens, and he's not even talking to other characters, he's just talking to himself. Like, that is what this book is. It's just her telling herself about horror tropes and how she really wants people to get murdered in her hometown so she can be in a horror and in a thriller. And there's this new girl here and she's like, oh, that girl's the final girl and all this stuff's gonna happen. And it's just like, what are you on about? And then after every chapter there's like an essay that she's sending to her history teacher on the history of thrillers, like slasher movies, and like about halfway through the book I just started skipping them bits because it was so boring and it was just so repetitive. And then right at the end, like what actually happened was so stupid and ridiculous. It just felt out of left field. It didn't fit with anything that was happening. I have questions about stuff that was actually happening that wasn't even like mentioned or figured out. Like, if you've read this book, I want to ask you questions, because like, how did this happen? But then that was the ending, and I can't really talk about it because it's spoilers, but like, she sees something happen with a person, but then at the end something else happens, and I'm like, so what was that then? Did that just not happen? Like, what is going on? It jumped the shark. It was not good. I didn't enjoy it. I'm not going to continue the series. Glad I read it from the library and didn't buy it. So, yes. Not a fan. After that, I read Volume 5 of Rat Queens, The Colossal Magic Nothing. And unfortunately, this one wasn't one of my favourites of this series either. So I think this is the volume that they're trying to connect with the volume that was not connecting. So here's the thing. So stuff happened in it. And then like volume 3, I think it was, like loads of behind the scenes stuff happened, and like different people from the team left or got kicked out or stuff. And then volume 4 happened, and it was like volume 3 wasn't canon, but then they said, oh, we're gonna make it canon, and this is them trying to make it canon, but it just feels so like, I feel like I need to read everything again, because I was reading this, first of all I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's very weird, and like it's like it keeps skipping time, like here and then there and then here and then there and then there and then here, but it doesn't tell you it's going to skip time. And so halfway through you realise that it's skipping time. You're like, oh okay, so I kind of understand what the shit's going on now, but also I don't, because what the fuck is going on? So I feel like it was just very convoluted the way they're trying to like make this. Just accept the fact that that volume just doesn't count. Don't try and make it happen. It just felt like there was too many clutching at straws and like putting stuff together that didn't work. But also maybe if I read them all in one go again, maybe it would make more sense. Maybe then I would enjoy it more. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't like horrific, but it definitely just felt like stuff was happening, and you're like, okay, but like give me a chance to breathe and like tell me what and why and how and where, and just tell me something instead of stuff just happening. But yeah, we shall see what goes on next. I don't know. We're about halfway through, so let's head on over to a message from one of the spawns, and then I'll be back with the rest of the books. He's found the window. Don't eat the plant, Months. I was trying to do a cute video and you're just being rude. He's found the window, and he likes sleeping in there now. So after that, I was the final person in existence to read Legend and Lattes by Travis Baldry, and this was a fun time. It was just really, everybody knows, it's just easy reading, it's cozy fantasy, stuff happens but like it's not high stakes or anything like that. And yes, I did very much enjoy it. I don't think I loved it as much as everyone else seems to love it. I'm not like hyped about it being the best thing ever. It's not a 5 stars, it's not, I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just a really fun read, and it just feels like a really nice world. I know there's like a prequel. I don't know what that's about. Definitely will read it. I think it might even be about Viv's actual like fighting bit. I don't know. I might just be making that up. But yeah, definitely will read that, and definitely enjoyed it. But I don't think I can like enjoy it as much as other people, because when the characters are talking about this coffee and smelling the coffee, I'm just like, bro, coffee smells fucking disgusting. I don't know how you're getting all of these people in your store from the smell of coffee, because I would be like, blah, no thank you. But apparently people like coffee. Not me, not one of them people. But the snacks did sound very nice. After that, I read In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens, and this one I really enjoyed as well. So this one, I remember the prompt for this one. It was treat yourself, like get a gift and then read it. So I bought this book. I'd heard good things, and then I read it and I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad I did. I'm definitely going to be picking up all the other books from this author. I already wanted to, but now I've read one and really enjoyed it. Like, I want to more. And I didn't know exactly what was going to be going on going into here, but it was really good. I thought it was going to be really heavy romance, but it's not, so that's even more of a bonus. It's these characters existing. So it's about, I'm terrible at names, Tal. It's not hard, is it? So it's about Tal, who is a prince and he's magic, and you're not meant to be magic in this place, so he has to keep it a secret, and then loads of stuff happens and all things kick off, and then things happen and stuff, and I really enjoyed it. This was definitely my favourite book of the month. I really like the fact that it was slow burn. I like the fact that there was actually a storyline, it wasn't just a romance. I like the magical stuff that was happening. I even liked the royalty bit, and I'm not like the biggest fan. I do read royalty books, but like if you've got a book called Three Dark Queens or whatever that book's called, or like all the other books with words on, like the Dark Prince or the Queen of Nothing, or the, I'm just like, I don't care. But yeah, I enjoyed it in this one. After that I read Boy Erased by Garrett Conley, and I was expecting something and this didn't give it to me. I was expecting harrowing, I was expecting to cry, I was expecting like this dark book about conversion therapy, and like it did touch on that a little bit, but I feel like the way this has been like explained to people, or the way it's been publicized, makes it out to be something that it's not, because most of this book is just about Garrett talking about religion. Obviously he's religious, and then he went to a conversion camp, but like I was just expecting more, and I'm glad it wasn't more, because it's harrowing enough for him. I don't want, this is a non-fiction, so I'm glad that he didn't have even more of a harrowing time. But like, he was at this place for 8 days, 9 to 5, and he got to go and stay with his mum in a hotel in the evening, and it just like, it seems like when they were there they just had to make posters about stuff that's bad in the past of their parents, like, oh, my granddad was an alcoholic and that's why I'm gay, and like, oh, make a mask with all of these glitter and sequins. Strangely enough, I'm surprised they let them have glittery sequins and stuff to like expose the two halves as you made it. It just didn't feel like this horrific place, and obviously it is. I'm not saying that it's a good place, I'm not saying that it should be allowed in any way, but I feel like the most traumatic part of it was the religious aspect. Obviously he was very religious, so it's more like the, oh, you need to be godly and God-fearing, and obviously this is a sin, and like it's more of that side of the stuff. And because I'm not religious, I couldn't see why it was traumatic as much as it probably was for him. I was reading it, I was like, bro, you just got a piece of A3 card and you're just writing words on it. But obviously it was more internal, and like the religious aspect of him and being forced onto him not being himself, like it just didn't feel as horrific of other stories I've heard in conversion therapy, in conversion camps, in these sort of places. The fact that he was only there like a work day and then went and stayed at home, well not home, at a hotel, it just didn't feel what I was expecting it to feel. And don't get me wrong, he has a lot of trauma. I feel like the bit that's most traumatic was completely glazed over as well. Like he was sexually assaulted in college, and that he kind of mentions that, and obviously he talks about it throughout, but I feel like that is the most traumatic, horrific part. Obviously the fact that it happened, and the fact that he like equated that with being gay, and the fact that he thought, oh, maybe I deserve it, or the fact that he didn't want to tell anyone because he thought that people would think, oh, that and that's the reason it was your fault, or anything like that. Like that is the traumatic bit, and I feel like that is a lot more important than this random place he went to from 9 to 5 for 7 days, drawing pictures and writing. Obviously it's not to him, it's all the religious stuff, and like that stuff weighed heavy on him. But for me, yeah, it just wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be worse. I'm glad it wasn't. For him as a person, I'm glad he didn't go through more trauma in this conversion therapy, because like he could have had shock therapy, he could have had like abusing, like physical, mental, all this stuff. I'm glad that didn't happen, but I feel like this book is like publicized in the wrong way, because it's more about coming to terms with your religion and your sexuality rather than going to a conversion therapy. Like, that's a tiny bit of this book. Most of it is just him talking about past. Like, half of this book is not even, probably more than half of the book is not even set in the therapy. It's him talking about stuff that happened in his past, growing up, religion, how his dad's becoming, like, not a priest, a dude higher up in the church, and how he's very religion based. It's more that. So yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting, but I finally read it. And then last but not least, I read A Madness of Angels by Kate Griffin. So this is the first book in a 4-book, I was about to say 4-book trilogy, it's not Douglas Adams, in a 4-book series, and it's kind of hard to explain. So this magician guy wakes up after 2 years of him thinking he's dead, and then he's alive but he's in a different body, and it's some spoilers if I tell you more. It feels like, and then he wants revenge. He wants revenge on his apprentice, on the dude that like taught him, his teacher. He was the apprentice, and he's in this thing called the Tower, and all the other like magicians, sorcerers, wizards, people that are just normal peeps are saying, hey, he's a knobhead, he's going around, he's trying to like claim magic, is trying to be the most powerful person here, we need to stop him. And then Matthew Swift, who is the guy that woke up, it's like, I want to stop him because revenge. And everyone else is like, I mean, fair play, you're helping us out, but also he's just this evil man that's like killing people, that's not doing what he does tell them to do, he's not doing his bidding, and he's really rich and powerful and has all these different businesses. And the magic system in this is really cool as well. It's urban magic, so Matthew gets all of his magic from like the street lamps, from the existence of trains and just urban life. You can go into pigeons and like, or foxes or rats and that, like see what they see in their eyes and stuff like that. So it's really cool. This is a series that my sister has been telling me to read for ages, so finally happened. And if you saw my haul, you would have seen that I've already picked up the other 3 books. When I'm going to read them, I don't know, but they're here, so hopefully it won't be in 17 years. So there we go, those are all the books that I read in March. A bit of a mixed bag, some really good things, some not so good things, and yeah. My next video is going to be my quarter check-in, so check around for that. Let me know what you've been reading, what you read in March, if you participated in the roller reads. If you've read any of these books, what were your thoughts? If you read My Heart is a Chainsaw and enjoyed it, how, first of all, but also like let me know down there, and then I can say to you, how did this thing happen, what do you think that means, and hopefully you can be like, oh well, it means this, and then I'll be like, it doesn't, but I'll accept it. But yeah, say that in there if you want. Do the things if you want, subscribe if you want, comment if you want, like if you want, but only if you want. And yes, I'll be back in a few days with that quarterly check-in. Bye.